dreams must be small.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the second playday of the Titan Series playoffs. My name is Gorel, your host with the stash for you today, and I hope you're keeping yourself hydrated during this hot summer because we have got a heap of action-packed Siege coming your way, and you do not want to be missing it. I tell you, it's going to be a best-of-3 series, a rematch between Jihu and the unexpectedly revived Make Your Destiny. Joining me here on the desk, we've decided to switch it up. Instead of two analysts, it's going to be just the one. My dear friend Noctish, how are we doing today? Classic audio issue that plagues. Audio issues, as always, getting the best of us here on Titan Series. Titan Series especially, I don't even know if it happened this much.
Hear me now. Can you hear me now?
Can we hear him? We can hear
Okay,
him. Awesome.
perfect. Yeah.
Noctish, how are we
Okay.
doing, my friend?
I'm good. I hope everyone staying cool in this, as you said, hot summer. It's just terrible here. So, yeah, I'm actually joined by my fan behind me. So if anyone heard some wind speeds, it's on me. And yeah, as you said, revived MYD, being third on their group stage, hence eliminated, but by some situations escalated, they have been returned to the league, and what a rematch!
Yeah, before we actually move on to the two teams that we'll be playing, I just want to talk a little bit about the quarterfinals that happened on Monday, which was between White Tigers and BEE. We actually saw BEE have a little bit of an upset against White Tigers. If you saw during the groups, White Tigers predominantly played on Oregon, and that was clearly a very strong map for them, considering that they took TT9 to overtime on it, and all of a sudden they just completely dropped the ball, and BEE just kind of swept the rug from under them in that one.
Yeah, exactly. The game was already something that it hyped me. So it was something that I believe it paved the way and make me believe that okay, we're going to see actual good games, long games, maybe even in the quarterfinals. Something that I was looking for was the history between Maki and Chet affecting the squad on it. So, right now we have Shed again here, Shed and Lasmo here. So I'm expecting kind of same story between them, but let's see what actually happens.
Yeah, definitely, and of course on. While we are on the topic of Jihu, you could kind of argue that they're kind of the favorites going into this match because they took heroic to overtime on Cafe. Oh, they lost, but still taking a tier 1 team to overtime is still a pretty huge accolade, and it's on Cafe, which, mind you, is one of the maps that is actually picked today. So this could very well swing the way of Jihu, but I do have little someone in my ear telling me that we are about ready to go. So let's take it to predictions, Noctish. Who you got winning this one?
Jihu, but I think MID might something have to prove. So it's like 51% to 49, but for Jihu.
Yeah, I think I'd go for Jihu. I think, yeah, like you said, statistically, everything is just in their favor, and frankly, MYD have to conjure some sort of miracle if they want the upper hand in this one. But anyway, that's going to do it for this pregame analysis for right now. It's going to be Golu and Infernosis taking you through this one. Over to you guys.
Thank you guys very much for leading us into this series. My name is Infernosis, joined here by Golo, and we've got ourselves an upset story maybe brewing. I think both sides kind of agreed that that wasn't going to be the case, that Jihu was just going to take this one tried and true. But I want to hear your take on this as well here, Golo.
You gotta give this one to Jihu, I think, right? You're coming into this game, another rematch. They already said they beat them last time out on Oregon. Not gonna be a map we're seeing tonight, no matter what happens here. Not in the 3, but Cafe opening us off. A game that Jihu took heroic here. They lost 8-6. They lost out in overtime. But Cafe, a map where you're looking at these defenses to really stand chances. It was Jihu came out the gate swinging on their attacks, 4-2 at the end of that first half against Heroic, the only team that's put a dent in that squad so far. And I think you're coming into Cafe, they're going to be very comfortable, very confident. It's going to be an uphill battle if Make Your Destiny, want to kind of put their name on this one.
I mean, they highlighted not only the heroic loss, close victory, right? Going all the way to OT with them. I'd count that as a win against a T1 team like that. But on top of that, the fact these two teams have faced off before on Oregon, thankfully we'll not have to see that map, but pretty much every single map is going to be easier if you know it than Oregon, which every team should theoretically know. Cafe is going to be our first chopping block, our first map, our Roadhouse, to try to figure out whether or not Make Your Destiny has what it takes to upset Jihu, and it really does have to be a big upset to be able to shut down those Titans. Chalet will be our second one, my favorite map in all of our 6, and our final one, should it be required for our decider map, will be Theme. Let's go and jump right into the game. Let's go and take a look at our agent, our operator band face to see who's not going to be played here on this map.
Yeah, there's always a couple interesting ones when you come to Cafe, right? There's your classic bans, things like the Mirrors and the Valkyries on the defensive end. Flores could be taken away, someone who could be really helpful at allowing you to push through, take out some of these key pieces of utility. Lots of shields, lots of Keybers when that Azami is left open on Cafe to deal with. But the opening ban could be that Dokkaebi, you don't want the cools, lots of flexibility in that backup information, as well as just like you get control of those cameras. A pain to try and deal with if you're trying to hide things like Yokais or Evil Eyes. A Ying ban from Jihu, I mean, they've played a little bit of Ying, but also getting rid of it, it's such a chaotic tool, right? And, I mean, Azami, Infernosis, you just gotta ban the Azami.
Yeah, it's a little bit too prevalent on this map, especially when you're having to worry about top-down approaches, right? You have to deal with third floor if you want to pressure towards second. If you're dealing with first, you can take the very direct approach straight through Bakery, or you can still work into the same exact hatch as you would for every other objective on this map. It's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like Cafe as much as some other maps, because you really just see the same old strategies coming out round after round, but it doesn't mean it can't work. And for a map like Cafe, you're going to do what works. You're going to do what is the best and most effective strategy of approach. I think taking that hatch, taking red stairs, and not having to worry about the Kiba barricades, locking you out towards Penthouse, locking you away from Cigar Lounge, from Cigar Pit as well, not having to deal with that pressure in C2. Zami just has to be removed for quality of life.
Bit annoying, bit painful to deal with. Get rid of it. The new toy. I mean, I keep seeing people much an operator. Makes sense. Very strong. Nice little bit. He's got the whole lot, really. And I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what to make of this, right? Because I keep seeing people talk about how good he is. I'm yet to really be convinced in person. I believe it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just waiting to see it be truly abused on my screen. The setup from Destiny looking pretty kosher. The Frost coming out immediately is interesting to me. Just try and catch out any of these Jihu players if they're not looking when they jump on in. The Valkyrie, a mainstay. I mentioned it in the ban phase. If it's not gone away, you should really be picking it up for the information. So much is not for. That can just be blown up with things like Nitro Cells. And I mean, you've only got the one in the pocket of Lasmo, but you look at things like the Solace, another way in which you can play around this information, use that versatility to your advantage. But immediately, Jihu doing the standard Cafe things, they're going to be making their way up to the top floor. It looks like they're coming off of these rappels. Instead, focusing on maybe trying to catch out any players on this middle floor roam. The reinforcements given Lasmo just a little bit of support here as well.
Keep in mind, the Frost rework has not yet made its way out of the test server. Just came in, I believe, yesterday, so most definitely would not leave. And here's hoping it never leaves the test server, because I don't think anyone asked for that rework. Either way, it will be a constant thorn in the side of Jihu on their attempted approach in towards the building. See, a couple players have made their way over to the veranda side, working in from balcony, maybe taking control of it towards C3 window, and you're gonna try to use that to make your destiny locked inside towards Cocktail, and make it so hopefully they can't escape. You'll have to still worry about that second floor approach. A player in reading room, Juha, looking to maybe deny the approach in through door, stop them from swinging towards reading to try to take control on the second floor for White Stairs, where you see Loki's nearby, hanging out inside Freezer Hall, watching those window repels. Like I said before, Jihu really looking to close out that safe space back in Cocktail, and it's just a matter of time. A minute and a half already elapsed. There goes Rotero Drone, forcing Loki backwards. They'll drop towards White Stairs. And yes, this window is still barricaded, but with 2 players out on the rappel, it's almost doom time for Jihu to finally swing themselves forward. They'll take the first engagement. They lose out on the initial. They send out a flash, and they drop through Skyline. They're planting the diffuser. Shed will try to stick this one down. Can't get it in time, forced to retreat and go for the fight instead.
Creed's taking down Juha now, so still at that man disadvantage, but with players inside of sight, new balcony under their control as well. One lurking now, players trying to find more. The Romans, the Valkyrie, still with that Nightshell in pocket, is that threat who can stop getting that plant down. Trying to push back against Loki, moving into storage. MC with the MP17 is able to get one, but the Nitro Cell coming through to keep things even here as the round starts to reach its ending. Still, this Melusi, low HP inside of Cigar Shop, but just hanging on, playing around the rotations from the attack of Jihu, who are Creed now trying to come upstairs. The ping, they know that they are sat inside of Piano, but just waiting patiently. They can't make this aggressive move. Loki still hiding back towards the White Stairs. Can they isolate the single Melusi by themselves? It's going to be Shed who walks up and does take the gunfight. 14 seconds left for them to go for this plant. He's going to try and commit to it, looking for an ideal spot where he could get the most cover available. The ping coming through on the long range. Loki takes down Creed. 5 seconds left, but Shed able to commit to the plant. He comes off, backs away a little bit, but this information doing wonders for Loki's chances in this round. He's stuck inside of shop now. Off to the side, under the new balcony. Still the information being relayed to Loki, but he's ring around the roses here in Phonosis as he's trying to hunt him down. Shed doing a masterclass, just keeping away, avoiding the direct gunfight, drawing out this round as long as possible until he's forced to go for the swing with the pistol. Shed ready and waiting to collect that final kill. Amazing job, just to stall out that diffuser timer.
The objective begins and ends with Shed. Drops through Sky, the flashes galore, gets in to go for the plant, can't get it down in time, forced to go gun up, and there goes Make Your Destiny attempting to flip the entire map, rotate it 360 degrees to try to make Jihu worry about their flank, over towards Lounge, trying to deal with Cigar more. They had to send players to isolate the Melusi like you mentioned. They did a great job, but they just played too isolated. Why would Make Your Destiny like with 2 people in a 2-on-2 and playing for ones when Jihu more likely than not, and very obviously so, are going to go for the individuals that are isolated, cut them down quickly, and make it an easier gunfight. Jihu played largely at the end. A drone placed early over towards New Bow gives plenty of information. They know they don't need to swing Loki. They don't have to worry about it whatsoever. Despite them being at low HP, it's a cleanup kill, all but for free. They had to waste all the ammo in that 416C. Jihu will take round 1 decisively, though a close call towards the end. Now they get to attempt it once again here, back up to that 3rd floor attack, where Jihu have worked previously. And I'm honestly an advocate for never playing the same objective twice. But when it's Cafe, here, Golu, you kind of have to play the 3rd floor. It is the best of the best.
I don't know. I'm not convinced, right? I mean, I'm looking at this. You've still got the kitchen as an option. Reading can definitely work. You can, I am an advocate for reading. I think we need to be seeing more reading. But to go back to it, could feel a bit risky.
Knowledge is power.
We saw them playing this against Heroic, and they went for a very similar take. The operator lineup is incredibly similar, despite a couple changes in potential bans, but ultimately they're playing for this each hell, drawing you away from Piano because they're not investing a whole lot of utility in it. They've got the Flores, that's Shed's job, just to try and take away some of these shields or Banshees that are going to hide their approach. We saw what happened. All the attention from Make Your Destiny is focused towards Cocktail, and they can drop New Balcony and this night uncontested. There's got to be a better plan to deal with this threat.
Shed will send a drone in through Skylight once again. Jihu Well, they've used it before. Making Destiny are seemingly aware of that one. Pivoting Loki closer over towards New Balk will clear away a Rotero drone to try to deny some of these sightlines denial devices, aka pieces of wood from the slight bar stools in front of them. Jihu will unfortunately fail for the first one. Shed will have to send out a second and hope this one won't get cleared, and they'll send out, well, this may be the last third to get the job done, but they'll drone things out beforehand to make sure they don't waste this oh so important piece of equipment. Shed will use it to clear out over towards Red Hats. They'll drop right in towards New Balcony. Maybe look to get rid of the Melusi Banshee, and that will be the case. Also, while you bring a Clutch drone towards this map, get rid of some of those Banshees and deny that. You can also see the drone sightline util placed up for Make Your Destiny. This one working exceptionally well considering how often Jihu have been droning, especially with the drone we saw in the later stages. That saved a very unfortunate loss for Shed against the 1-on-1. Lazarus located down in Fireplace Hall, but it's not them to find the first kill. It's Leighton with a frag sent skyward, and Loki at the other end of it. Nothing they can do about it. They will not survive to the end of this round.
Just going straight into the window now, looking to take Cocktail control. There's no one there to protect it. One is under storage, just hiding away for their life. It's the Frost, but just being pushed by Shed at close range is going to get caught between two members. They are able to get the kill back onto Creeds, but a 4 versus 2 now. Comfortable site control for G. If you're looking for Shed now to try and get that plant down. One Black Eye spotted and shot down. So that lack of information inside of Cocktail makes going for this plant safe. Is committing to it. Still the Solace who's going to try and ping, trying to relay as best as possible, but I love this Jihu. They've dropped the diffuser, they back away from it, they bait out the Nitro Cell waiting outside the window. Venom's to grab the kill on Juha, who's trying to rotate up White Stairs. Now they can commit to it, now they can go for it. The Valkyrie pushed by Leighton downstairs underneath, and just a wonderful understanding of what the win condition there was for Make Your Destiny, and they played around it perfectly.
It's a total dismantling of what Make Your Destiny are bringing to the table. Jihu saw everything 10 miles ahead. They didn't completely actualize the window repel play just last round in round 1, but in round 2, they used it beautifully to find 2 kills, not off the rip, but also after the fact for those players repelling in and actually taking control of their towards Cocktail Lounge, swinging C2 and 3 simultaneously, and using that to apply pressure towards Freezer. At that point, GU have full control of the 3rd floor, Golo, which means there's nowhere else they can be but the 2nd. You've checked off the list. They're down below. You can send players after them, but why not bait things out? You're gonna be playing against the Souls. If they're playing down on that floor, there is a Nitro Cell ready to be sent to your feet. Use that to your advantage, and it works beautifully. Jihu with a gorgeous round to go up 2-0. Now they'll have to do something different, though. We fall back into our second set of choices here for Make Your Destiny. Down in the first floor of the kitchen.
You can see the defensive lineup changing because of the demands of the kitchen site, right? You've got that smoke in, you've got the echo as well. So having those yokais that you can hide away inside a kitchen, play for this late round and try and disrupt the plant. How that works out for them, I guess only time will tell. Lasmo, someone who has been kind of caught out in the early stages of the round, so on that echo now needs to make sure they're prioritizing their life a little bit more importantly, and you'll usually see that adjustment be made pretty sensibly. I'm still expecting Jihu to go for this top-down approach, try and clear out the roam, and you can see Loki on the Legion running around, setting up these goo mines just to try and throw around some disorientation, right? If you can get a goo, catch someone off, try and pounce quickly, but looks like a lot of Jihu putting that pressure on the backside again, just wanting to open up these windows for later rotation options, and that's something they're really good at. Setting something up in the early round, coming back to later on and moving so quickly that your opponent just doesn't have a fair chance to respond.
Keep in mind as well, the goo mine can be used more for just disorientation. It's also a little bit of information. Hear it go off, you know exactly where you placed it. And it tells you, player inside hall, can they really swing me? They're gonna have to worry about the needle stuck inside their heel. Maybe I'll be their Achilles to this situation. It doesn't seem to work out most of the time, but Make Your Destiny could go for the aggressive stance considering how passive they've played the last 2 rounds and how much that has really assessed them, falling 2-0 so far to Jihu. A player inside coach check. Baby Shark's working as close as possible to the chest. Already had to deal with 1 Gemini replicator going forward. You do hear the Flores, the Rotero drones going off in the background. It's no longer Shed wielding it this time, however. Shed will switch over to the Sledge and has already found a first pick here in this round. Juhawk caught off guard, and there's no longer here. 416C firing shots back their way. A hefty threat no longer on the board. And Jihu have plenty of time still on the clock. 90 seconds remaining. They can head up to the top of the roof and start to work their way down like you do most of the time here for this map. But getting that first pick makes it so Make Your Destiny have to constantly worry, when are they going to escalate? When are they going to give that go-ahead? When are they going to count down and send themselves here into this map? You got to worry about more than just yet. Creed's coming in on that Nook is going to stealth their way down red stairs and catch a player in main hall, more likely than not off guard.
Again, it's just this patience now for Creeds, right? Waiting for the rest of Jihu to be in position so you can pounce and get the most bang for your buck. Loki right their way into pillars, but so far not moving towards red, which gives Leighton the opportunity to jump in through reception. No one there to look for the refrag. Venoms grabs a second as well, so 5-2 the flashbang to prevent the rotation from the Legion behind to buy themselves as much time to move into new positions. And there's Creeds pouncing while all the focus is set behind them to grab the kill coming down red stairs. A wonderful shot by Loki put into the 4-1. 3 versus 1 now. He's found himself a second and a third. These members of Jihu, while having full control of site, full control of the round, have insisted on peeking one by one, but Venom sat in a corner, able to use the impact hole made by Loki to shut him down and make sure that they do not lose control of the round, they do not lose control of the game. They are still 3-0 up. They are running flawlessly.
Make Your Destiny always seem to have something in the final bits of this round here, Goler. First round, you see it comes down to a 1v1. Yeah, they did isolate in a 2v2, but they still brought it at least close to the chest. Round 2 had something brought out in the last bits. The Nitro Self, which is now alongside the Soulless for Intel. Third round, Loki goes ham. They find kill after kill, 3K galore. They try to step back in, impact her wall, catches Jihu off guard. But the rest of the team in the early engagements are bleeding unnecessary kills. And Make Your Destiny are leading into the final situations where Jihu can either put down the diffuser or play for frags because they're so far ahead that Make Your Destiny have too much of a disadvantage. It's 2v5, it's 2v4. Man count is not in your favor, and Jihu just needs to play for the refrag. They can play in tandem. And yes, this is a game where any bullet can kill straight to the head. It doesn't mean you're capable of getting the job done that way. Not even some of the best teams out there can flick so well. But Loki did just show us quite a nice pizzazz. Jihu riding a high, going 3-0, and Make Your Destiny will opt to repeat the same exact thing. Working on the first floor. I maybe would have expected them to play reading like you said, and maybe try to deny that first and foremost. I don't like playing the first side back-to-back. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and it's also, you hit this weird point after round 3 where anything you win now, you get one victory on, right? Because it's locked for the next 2 rounds. So even if they win here, they're not going to get another chance to play it later on this map. The setup is also pretty different, right? This time, Make Your Destiny don't want to play around the utility, the stall, because they've recognized Jihu are just moving so aggressively. Instead, they're dropping the smoke, they're dropping the echo, they're bringing more tools like the Solaces, they're bringing the Warden, they're bringing the Vigils to try and get aggressive. They want to try and look for these gunfights early against Jihu so that they can disrupt the early flow of this round. You don't want to be giving them the space to start walking into the building, because that's what we're seeing. Shed, Leighton, Creeds, just getting in good positions that are going to punish you later on as the round unfolds. Still Jihu, slightly different approach this time. They've added MC now onto the ace, so they're going for a slightly slower push. It'll be interesting to see how that plays into a more aggressive defense.
You have to keep in mind, Make Your Destiny, if they played any of the second floor objectives, they could have called a timeout immediately after the fact and played for a 2-round win by the end of the half. Unfortunately, like you said, even if they were to win this, they still would have to play reading to get a perfect score, or second floor site in general to get a perfect score to go tied at half. And they don't have any strategy from Jihu to know how to play against him. Timeout would have been perfect. Unfortunately, that's not the case. 2 kills will fall in favor of Jihu. Jihu playing over on red stairs, able to take down 1. Creed's no longer in the fight. The Nook not able to really make an impact here in this round. There are still 2 nades available in the hands of Leighton. Shed has already sent theirs out skyward, not really finding too much past the initial damage. Shed is already wrapping around towards VIP, and they do have Freezer Wall opened up. And Make Your Destiny do have a very dangerous outlook to left to watch. They got a player in white stairs to do just that. They miss out on a nearly free kill, and a second one was there, but it goes the other way. 3K from CI, and Leighton comes in huge for the final. What a round once again. Who else but from Jihu?
I'm sorry, but MC's just too good there.
Disgusting.
He's watching out for white stairs, aware of the visual coming down. A couple sprays coming through the freezer breach, turns for one, gets the kill, turns back, grabs himself a second. A triple kill in the round for the ace. I mean, look, just ultimately, we're seeing, again, Jihu doing Jihu things. What's happening? They're having a little bit of pressure behind, dropping around Christmas. MC's opened up Garage Wall early on, so they've got the threat from that side as well, preventing White Stairs from having an easy rotation back down to get involved in the play. Meanwhile, rapid in around on Bakery door. We're seeing Creed on the Nook just jump in Bakery window. They got the drone set up in their Bakery already. So you can see, hey look, there's no one contesting this. We're safe to jump on in. Runs in, grabs the kill onto the Legion, the only player going towards Bakery. You can move in and take that control very, very comfortably. MYD, I'm not quite sure what's missing. Is it some information around these entries? We're seeing the hat can come through as a sort of gambit to try and catch off the Jihu entry. But Jihu doing a fantastic job at playing so far spread apart that you just have so many things to watch. And when you have just the individual ability that you do amongst the Jihu roster, you know that any one of these players can take these early 1v1s in a round, come out on top, get that advantage for the team, and the other 4 players are ready in the wings just to jump into the fray, to start causing more problems, to throw more questions at Make Your Destiny. And that's where we're seeing these massive openings arise. There's never like the clear solution for Make Your Destiny. Is it more beepers? I don't know.
I'm not sure if there's ever a strategy that calls straight up for more beepers, but if there is one, I want to see it. Because right now, Make Your Destiny to pull out something out of the hat. It needs to be a magic hat. They need a rabbit. They need something that is unexpected. They got to pull a baseball bat out of the hat, and they got to start clubbing because Jihu have absolutely found themselves going ahead. The scoreline is indicative of it, and if you watch any of the rounds, the final kills at the end of it showcase it even more. It started with a close series. You know, 2v2, Foster 1v1, close matchup. And then Jihu since then have pretty much been flawless in nature for executing on these sites. And it's not entirely just their ability to buy from map control and competitive in terms of these apex fronts that Make Your Destiny trying to work from. It's everything in between. Make Your Destiny have not put up a solid front when they want to play this extension, when they want to have that middleman out there, that lingering tendril, so to say, to try to wrap around a foot of Jihu and trip them as they attempt to entry in towards these sites. They just don't have enough impact. And you see players from Make Your Destiny still up on the 3rd floor. A Knight Yourself from below is beautiful from Fiasco and does open up a kill for Make Your Destiny finally here in this series. But those 2 players have already fallen back farther away from VIP, away from Lounge, I apologize. They still have a player that's inside Cocktail who has no escape because they've been cut off being held, overkilled that freezer wall, who are forced to engage quickly. They get a kill, they're still in corner. Shed could have been killed, they'll go for it after the fact. It gets it, they'll even, and the Captain escapes too! Just barely can Baby Shark survive. But with 60 seconds left, Jihu are finally at a man disadvantage.
Have the sledge, they can still work with the vertical angles, and all these remaining defenders are down below. So they can find a way to give themselves the opening into sight. They've got the cover. Creed's caught off by another one of these hidden cat can traps in the white corridor, aware of potential pressure coming up White Stairs, but they should be good to go for this revive. Still, potential black eyes just hidden around, gathering that information for the defense. A couple pings coming through that they are there. Vertical angle available now. Cat can inside the site, trying to apply that pressure with the Flores sledge combination, but so far able to avoid the gaze of Jihu. Alive inside a site. 20 seconds left. All that remained for Jihu to pull something together out of this attack, and you can see the Make Your Destiny players well spread apart to wait for the push to come on in, into the waiting arms of the shotgun Plasmo, who's going to swap off Creeds coming down through the White Stairs. Easy to get one shut down very quickly. Baby Shark ends the round off comfortably for them. Just well spread out positioning caught Jihu off.
It's a great job to get those early pickups for your side. If you take the man advantage, gives you a fairly solid lead, and it changes the strategy from Jihu. Note how well we've seen them play in the last 4 rounds. Before that, they did a great job of taking picks and then controlling that space. The players they lost, it took them 20 seconds to compose themselves to regain control of those areas. And for one of them, they didn't even have the space to reclaim control. His player was taken out on a window repel. You can't reclaim that space. You have to do that with a one-on-one. Thankfully, they did so well. Jiro was kind of in a bad spot. They swung a little bit too far over there towards C1, and because of that, they were in a tough space. Could have taken down the player that was rushing them. but Jihu will get that kill back in return, but the rest of the space was unclaimable. They get control of the third, but by then Make Your Destiny have safely retreated 4 players when arguably all 2 that were extended should have been taken down. Baby Shark made a hasty retreat that should have not been allowed towards White Stairs. 9 times out of 10, you're dropped through Cocktail Lounge hatch. The fact they get away with that with no one having control towards Pixel Door is inexcusable from Jihu. They'll have to change that up as they head back here to the second floor. Thankfully for Make Your Destiny, they don't have to change the strategy too much here for this objective. The biggest difference is going to be dealing with mining in that window that directly connects to the outside, veranda and balcony. Try to deal with the outlook, but Jihu are a team that are likely just going to take map control in the first place and worry from there because window, direct in, it's a bit too dangerous for their game plan. They do have a Nook and an IQ, and that could give them enough intel for utility to say, hey, maybe we do just step on it. Oh, maybe not now.
Yeah, the IQ not going to be around for very long, which really helps for both the Echo and the Valkyrie here. Those gadgets, the Yokais and Black Eyes respectively, not going to be able to be found out quite so easily. And on a setup like mining where you have sort of a lot of information that you want to hold into the site without having necessarily to stand inside mining itself, keeping those tools well hidden and protected is very important later on into the round. So great start for them here to try and put that second round win on the board. It is a bit of an unconventional site to try and play out. We've seen more teams, especially over in your home turf of North America, leaning into it and trying it out. So we should see what Make Your Destiny have got prepared for it, right? So far, like you said, a lot of this top floor hold, a little bit less regimented, less firm into Cocktail. So it should, in theory, be a little bit easier for Jihu to get these roamers moving out, despite the fact that they've already lost MC on that IQ.
Ooh, window opened up right behind Loki. It's an attempt here by Jihu to deny the possibility of working in through hatch. Loki being directly above it, though, does mean, hey, I can go ahead and send down an impact and make my retreat back down to the second floor. Dropping it a launcher and rotating over to the bottom of White Stairs to give yourself an angle. Leighton has found a kill here before. Unfortunately, will not be given the opportunity. Instead, it will go to Shed's hands, evening things up for a 4-on-4. Finally, Jihu refragging and avenging the kill they lost early from Make Your Destiny's spawn peak, and will give themselves a shot here for the final 70 seconds as they tick away and give a lot of problems past this point. It's no longer downside reading. You don't have to worry about that hatch. You need to win the lounge. Specifically, there's more than just a couple problems at hand. You have to clear up nearly all of this field. You can't clear out below piano. You can't clear out the trains themselves. You'll have to send nades. And even then, it's a gamble. The player can just go to the opposing side with pretty much no chances whatsoever for Jihu except a perfectly timed nade to deny that. And if they do, they got util. They got information from below. Loki on the Solus, who's been playing this wonderfully. That's exactly where you all are lying in wait.
Replay C4 on that piano floor as well, so if the sledge lurks around a little bit too long, might go boom. Creed's droning out mining. They're looking for the option for them to move on in. Going on the Nitro is going to be brilliant. It allows them to play these aggressive angles more actively. Creed's now just walking down as Shed finds a second kill for himself in the round. Drops down Laundry as well. There is one on White Stairs they will have to be a little bit cautious of. He's going for the swing instead, just focusing straight onto the dining. The Echo looking the wrong way. The pre-fire coming through, but loses out the gunfight. Talasmo thankfully has the teammate in Leighton right around the corner to go for the retrade, but a 1 versus 2 situation for the Yana to try and play out. At the time of the 0, got to commit to that plant. They're just going to run up behind you. And Fiasco able to finish off the kill. Leighton committed to the plant, isn't coming off of it. Not going to fake it, but does die as a result.
And how unfortunate it is to see Make Your Destiny finding all of their success in the final 2 rounds where there's no more momentum behind you. That's your attack, your defense done. You don't have to transition to the attack, and the game plan has to change entirely. Jihu get a 4-0 lead early, and it's irrecoverable in that half, and you'll have to make quick wits here for the second. I'm not too sure how EU has shaped up in the past few months here, Golu, but NA has quickly fallen into an attacker-favored Cafe. I don't know if that's true for EU. You can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but NA, especially in the amateur scene, has fallen very much so to Cafe being an attacker-heavy side, especially when you got gunners like Arrow or Rise that just straight run in knowing they're better than the competition. And I think from what we've seen in the early stages of that half, Jihu are a team that are clinical when it comes to firing, but that doesn't mean Make Your Destiny can't do the exact same thing. We saw Loki have a nice 3K sure some clips in the chat 10, 20 times. That was such a beautiful play from them. We've seen Jihu have great success with their play out through that window repel. Deny that. They like to play a little bit more aggressive. Maybe Make Your Destiny can play that attacking side very well, but Jihu showed their prowess on attack. And now they get to play Castle. They get the favorable side of picking where they choose to go. They can just hold an angle and continue to stick there the whole darn time. They can play their utility to their favor. It's hard to imagine Make Your Destiny time against the Jihu defense, who truly just picked them apart in the first place when it came to attack the first 4 rounds.
This defense is going to be very telling for the homework that Make Your Destiny have been doing in preparation for this game. The defensive setup coming out is very, very similar to the same sort of setup they would bring against Heroic. Heroic choosing to try and take it on. In a way, we saw Jihu going, right? They're focusing on those East repels. They're ignoring a lot of the heavy utility setup around piano. But already you're seeing Make Your Destiny moving onto the piano window repels, getting set up around the hatch for red stairs. So to me, it just screams we're going to play this very traditionally, very standard. And I still have a couple of reservations for how this might pan out for them. You're seeing the mirror windows set up to try and challenge in. It's MC with the TCSG as well, so a gun that is very capable at taking gunfights at these slightly extended ranges. The setup for them, a lot of information, a lot of long angles. Make Your Destiny are going to have to be very careful about how they choose to deal, especially with these mirror windows.
Very interesting to see Jihu completely ignoring most of Pixel Door, relying entirely on that small cubby along the TCSG, like you said, to deal with not piano window, but hard wall window inside lounge. It gives a lot of options for Jihu, but it also shows a lot of, I would say, weaker angles that Make Your Destiny continue to prod through. They won't have the option of throwing nades easily to clear out any util that is placed over there towards Pixel Door, but they can get a nice bounce. They can send out Rotaro drones that Juha has in hand to try to do the exact same thing. They'll send one over there towards hard wall connecting into C2, get rid of some of the util that may be there in terms of denial. Maybe they could send out an X-Kairos pellet to remove that player's foothold behind the wall of safety. They can also try to use that to clear out the player that is inside of the small cubby. You can see that still being there for the player SE. Trying to work slowly but surely. The second Rotaro and last one that was sent their way will, in fact, find a little bit more util over towards Pixel. And like I said, that was exactly where you needed to put it. Make Your Destiny have made quick work of a lot of utility in play for Jihu, but there's still 0 deaths. Loki's taken some damage, but the job's not done. Jihu have given no space, truly, to Make Your Destiny here go.
Again, with only 40 seconds left at this point in the round, still the electrical core undealt with means this mirror window has been allowed to sit strong for way too long. 30 seconds and counting now for this final execute to come through. You can see MC focused solely on the mirror window. He has the support right from the back of White Stairs to make sure that no one is walking through his Pixel Door unchecked. And if they do, that's when he goes for the swing. The long angles ready and waiting, but Loki able to actually catch out the Cade. That frees up Laundry. Creeds does shut down Loki though as he tries to go the drop down the skylight as they're committing to the plant, providing the coverage on garbage bins, and Baby Shark despite storming through the site, take down Shed at the back as well. Creeds on this rotation is going to have a lot of work out for him. He found himself in the 1 versus 3, an effective 1 versus 2 as the injury comes through, but Lasmo so close on the doorway, able to quickly put the round to bed. And despite a very slow, very clunky start to the round for Make Your Destiny, when they got the angles on the sidelines, when they got that kill onto MC, they pounced so quickly, committing, just flying through the site, and that bought the space for them to get the plant down behind.
9 times out of 10, Gully, you're waiting for the call from your team. You're waiting for the call to come from inside the house, the 3, 2, 1 countdown to say, we're going in and we're engaging. And it seemed like Make Your Destiny didn't have the outlook to find that. But Loki's step up over towards default plant gave them a perfect angle onto the Kaid, making, hey, they have half their angles they're working from denial, the most effective space that they were holding onto, a literal castle that they were lying within, completely null and void. And Jihu at that point were left scrambling to wonder, where do we move from here? Try to move Creeds down to the second floor, rotate over towards red stairs and work from the flank, but by then the rest of the team has been systematically cut down in every turn. Make Your Destiny played it about as perfect as you can ask for. Though it seemed like Jihu had the advantage from the very beginning, it was ultimately their round to lose, which is exactly that. Looks like they're going to repeat the same exact strategy, though. They'll place their Kaid inside a cubby. They'll play the mirror window here once again. I wouldn't expect things to change too far, especially with the mute jammer going down there instead. Could be an idea if they want to stick NCIE in there instead on the SMG-11. They don't have the Kaid this time around. I just feel like it's going to be a lot less, I would say, long-lasting. Maybe they put Shed in there instead. They need a stronger weapon at range if they want to really deny the angle from Cigar Shop at that point.
I will say I do like the changes coming through, right? They're bringing the castle, they recognize, look, they walked into Cigar Shop very early on. It was Fiasco on the Ash playing in the doorway that was kind of that linchpin onto MC's position inside of Laundry. So you just get that run, you can play in Bathroom a little bit longer. Now, with MC playing a little bit more aggressively inside of Shopping itself, you have this opportunity where if one of the Make Your Destiny players does jump down a little bit preemptively, if they're not droning it out properly, you can try and catch the free being pulled back the castle window to give support from the piano windows. Nice change to make, and I think that's very important, but when you have the EMP timed like that to disable the ADSs, or the magnets, I should say, you get the free kill with the grenade. That's a brilliant start. You just take away that position off the rip.
A lot of people have highlighted Cafe as the new window repel simulator, and there is a big reason for it. Dealing with upstairs hall quickly with the one window that's available, you can clear out player incoming. It's a lot harder to deal with Pixel player. That's why people typically lie behind a shield inside Pixel instead. When you lack that, you don't opt for it, this is what will happen. Jihu are left with 2 people. With 90 seconds having elapsed in this round, 3 players have been felled, and by this point of the round, and for another minute longer, there were still 10 men on the field looking to find their first kill of the round. A completely different pace tone and set to the Make Your Destiny side, and it is a tumultuous battle for Jihu. Creeds has finally found their first pickup of the round. A nice long shot there with the Vector, crisp and clean, but plenty more work to go ahead of them as it is still a double man advantage in favor of the attacking side of Make Your Destiny.
On Pixel door though, so when they start walking through into Piano, Layton can give the call, they can swing to the sidelines and try and reduce this man advantage. The drone does finally spot out the car, so it's going to relocate further back into Freezer, just to try and hold this angle still onto the doorway. That's where they're expecting this dash to try and walk through. The Havana's the one with the diffuser also on the same doorway, rotating towards the control. So it's going to require Creeds on this mirror window to play for the long angle, but still some decisions creeping up onto the half wall. The headlight holes should be a brilliant aid to them. Spots one inside a cocktail. They're trying to turn around. Fiasco takes a little bit of damage, but ultimately walks away with the life as Layton able to somehow cross amidst the chaos. The diffuser going down, and with the cover fire, the pin, the lockdown, they're able to deny it. The vault over the table just to try go for that last-ditch attempt to stop the diffuser, stop that plant from being made, but the coverage was just too good, and Loki grabs Creeds, rotating around the side. They had their angles covered. They made sure nothing was going to go amiss in that round.
You could tell Make Your Destiny had a great realization of what was happening in front of them. Player inside Freezer, second player trying to play from the flank. They know where the safe spot is to plant. They know where it is most deniable. They go up to main bar, they plant there instead, and Jihu were forced to go for the extension. It was a good attempt. Time was not in their favor whatsoever, though, and it wouldn't have mattered in the end. Jihu have struggled on the defense, and Make Your Destiny have highlighted they can and will be the attacking team here for this series. This is a tone setter. I think surely you come back here and you get 2 rounds at the very end of the first half and the very first 2 of the second. That's 4 back-to-back. Anything Jihu can do, we can do better. But I think this is another rightful stance here for Jihu, who says, okay, it's a timeout time. We got to talk things through. Make Your Destiny didn't make use of it in their first half. It's our time to shine with it here. We've got it, might as well use it. The issue is they played the same objective twice, meaning they don't know anything of Make Your Destiny's attacking strategy for the second floor, nor for Kitchen Down on the first. It's a guessing game for how that one will work. And you can tell Jihu is still trying to pick where they wanted to go. It was third floor first, Kitchen Down to the first. Do we like it? No. Let's hit the reading room and firing place and just hope that Make Your Destiny struggle a bit more than we've been making them there on the third, because it has been too easy for them.
I also just am finding it kind of amusing that you said it yourself, right? Oh, you don't like it when teams kind of run to the same site back again. Both teams have done it, and both times what's happened is the attack has just gone, oh, this is how they're setting up. Oh, we can make these changes and do our attack even better. And they've had a more dominant time the second go around. It's the perfect example of why replaying a defense can be such a confidence booster for the attacking side. It works against you. And now, going not to the kitchen, but instead to reading dining, I feel like this is a nice choice, right? They can play somewhat similarly, build up around Cocktail, have that upstairs presence, but then when you lose it, if that pressure starts to become a little bit too much to deal with, you're not forced to be as far up the white corridor. You're not forced to be playing right up next to Piano. Instead, you can just drop away to the middle floor, wait more patiently for the attack to come down to you once again, and you get that second layer. Shed is going for the spawn peak, but it looks like from the look of things, the NYD players, they are well aware that this spawn peak is being attempted. It's going to have some initial sprays coming through, but Creed on the off angle is able to grab one. They do trade it back, so at least they get something for it. You trade out the Ash for the Solace. Are you happy with that change? That seems...
No.
I mean, I think MID might be okay with that.
They're pretty happy. Well, what is your breaching charge going to do here for your team? Fiasco is an entry player. That's what you're playing for. You've already fed the rock to them a couple times here. They're 6-7. They were 6-6 entering the round. They were going positive. They were doing their job, allowing for the refrag after the fact. Solis is so important to every defensive setup for that information. There's a reason why Solis is almost a near ban in most maps. If it wasn't for the fact that Fenrir is quite a nuisance to deal with, I'm expecting it would have maybe been the ban of their choice instead. Creed's not a factor in this round, means Jihu are going to have to find their answers elsewhere. They have the mirror windows they can look through safely. We've seen them utilize it somewhat well on the third floor. Obviously, that second attempt was not so good whatsoever. They also have the Surya gates to make sure that Yuta will have to be expended by Maker Destiny to try to remove those or face the threat of 15 damage going the other way. Past that, there's not much information available for Jihu, and it will be a very active fight for them to try to reclaim ground when it gets taken by Make Your Destiny.
Now we hit the patience part of the round of Inferno, right?
Slow and steady.
We just see what arises for Make Your Destiny, droning out the middle floor. So already with a player inside of pillars, Loki can look for something a little bit cheeky on the sidelines. I'm interested to see what is going to come through along the top, because you do want to push this Arune out. You do want to get Shed out of Bathroom, because being able to play the vertical angles when you got something like the Sledge makes pushing into reading a lot easier for you. You are going to be the first to try and walk up. The mirror window not quite challenging directly into him, but one further back is going to be a bit of a pain. The flashbangs to burn out any magnets on Pixel, but nothing to push off of. Lasmo, though, just able to work his way inside a dining. They just completely circumvented his defense. Shed trying to use the impact to open up the hatch above, but it's being covered by Duar. He's being swung from behind, turns and takes the gunfight onto MC, cuts this attack and retake in half. Downfall looking for the second. Leighton up above inside a piano on the minibar. Does he know? He's so close. Yes, he does. A triple for Nomad. Swapping to the pistol, looking for Shed, who's the last man alive, who is going to get that kill. Finally drop down the hatch and try and contend with the attackers who bypass the roam completely, but instead drops into the waiting arms of Baby Shark. And Make Your Destiny, they've done it. They've flipped this round back on it. You said it. They'd have to have a strong attacking opening. 3 rounds in a row. Off the bat. Good start.
Make Your Destiny get close to sight and they get given a giant logo in front of their face that says, hey, take it, it's free. What's better than something at a dollar store, at a Dollar General, something that's free? You're going to take it. You don't even need it. You're going to look at it in 6 months' time, and where did I get this? Make Your Destiny say, how did they give this space up to us? Why is it so free to us? Why did Lasmo have a chance a minute into the round to get a plant down for free? And yes, they had to step off of it for just a moment, but it goes down immediately after that fact. Why did Jihu give them so much ground that was capable of control when that should have been their territory in the first place? It seems like Jihu have not a dominant bone in their body when it comes to the defense. They are too, I would say, too willing to acquiesce control, but they're too willy-nilly with that space. Kitchen is maybe a little bit easier for them to work from. They still have that very strong front inside coat check. Essentially, say that's the supply of that third floor. They also have the ability to play in towards garage and deny that angle from Jihu. But the issue comes from small bar, where you have main entrance to worry about. You have big window. You have to deal about the rotate through Christmas. You call it a KVIP. There's still too many angles that Make Your Destiny have had easier jobs on angles that are limited. Imagine what they can do with this space that's so free to reclaim when Jihu are just handing it over to them for free, when it should at least cost 1 or 2 man in the first place.
Another bit of early pressure from Jihu trying to find the kills. Juhan taking a hefty chunk of damage, but still alive. And ultimately, that's what counts. Having the air jabs to be able to lock down some of these rotations, especially if you want to put that priority onto Bakery. You can shut down the main corridor, the long. You make it so you can't walk up into tables. Always pretty helpful. Loki doing a little bit of solo entering on the top floor. Just trying to gather that, get that drone information early on to see if there is anyone from the defense roaming up above. We know there isn't, but obviously wall hacks aren't something that is allowed in competitive Siege, so they have to do the manual work, right? They have to do the grunt bit of droning. Doesn't stop Fiasco from getting a little nade kill onto MC, and that's a lot great openings. Make Your Destiny doing great work with the information paired into frag grenades to make their life a lot easier at the start of these rounds. And with that pressure out of Bakery, they can really start to walk in, get that pressure right up on Kitchen. Low-key now on red stairs, again, in this position where he's basically just waiting patiently. Does anyone from the side of Jihu walk into his line of sight? It is Venoms creeping up white stairs, who is looking to try and have that vertical pressure.
Slow prowl once again from Jihu. They know they're at a man disadvantage, and these loss early will unfortunately be something they'll have to try to recover from this point onwards. Venoms did not have the safety they had expected as Loki was lying in wait over towards that red stairs hall. Finally does get refragged back, but a second victim has now been felled by a nade sent out by Make Your Destiny. It's been a big problem. They'll try to swing in from that Bakery wall that's been opened up. Lasmu will be felled. Kreese from up above doing good work. But the job's not done, down to a limited amount of HP, maybe just 10 to their name, if even that. And they know for a fact a single shot will get the job done. Fiasco beginning now to plant down the diffuser. Creeds has a little bit of information, but not enough. Do they see it in time? They do not, and the diffuser will be placed, and Leighton will be swept up in the action by Juha, leading to a 1v3. What more can you ask for? Well, from Creeds, it must be everything, and it's going to be nothing. Fiasco with the final frag as Make Your Destiny will continue their dominant splurge of rounds in quick succession, with Jihu being quite literally underdog swept. It's an unbelievable story for Make Your Destiny.
Match point now. 6 rounds in a row. Are they going to make it 7? Do they see it off here? I mean, nothing I'm seeing from the defense of Jihu gives me reason to believe otherwise. We're seeing good moments of individual play to try and retake or regain positioning. But it's always a little bit too late. There's not the information inside of sight to really assist Creeds in playing for the denial. You see Fiasco able to tuck into the corner and commit to that plant. Just doesn't give up on it. What's going wrong? Right, we're just seeing a really solid attack from Make Your Destiny. They are able to very efficiently spot out the positions of the Jihu players. They're pairing that up with strong use of their utility. Burn coming in from stun grenades, pairing that, the timing is amazingly done with frag grenades to take away Bakery. They're taking out Empty without the need to look for a gunfight. Because what did we see in the first half? When Jihu are given opportunities to go for these gunfights, they're going to be on that upper hand. So Make Your Destiny making that realization, making the adjustments necessary to go, okay, this is what we need to do instead. We need to play for utility, we need to make these gunfights unfair. That's something we didn't see enough from them in their last matchup when they played on Oregon. Too many opportunities to give Jihu fair gunfights. This time around, that isn't the case, and on the attack of Cafe, they have the tools to make sure that's not the case. They have the tools, and they're using them so well.
You have to keep in mind as well, Jihu looked like a very dominant team when it came to their attack. They played information very well. The drones were galore. They did really well with their terror drones, not just for destruction util, but also droning out the destruction util. They had a drone next to the terror drone 9 times out of 10. Jihu thrive when there's prevalent information. There is none available to them, though, here on the defense. They use a mirror window for 90% of their intel. They don't have a Mozzie to try to gather a pest. They don't try to use the black eyes as much as they necessarily should be. All of this space that they think is safe has already been taken by Make Your Destiny. We saw it just last round, the attempt to swing over towards mining. You get Venoms, who gets lost early. Yes, Creed fires back, but Creed takes too much damage in the process, inevitably leading to Jihu stuck in a spot where there's a man with 5 HP in a 3v1. Make Your Destiny, they looked pretty good on their defense, but they've looked gorgeous on the attack. Information has been king, and I don't even think Make Your Destiny has done a better job with the droning than Jihu did. It's just that Jihu seem like a team that can't do anything if there's no drone behind them, and they're not making the necessary steps to try to make up for that major shortcoming.
Counter-attack this time to very quickly dismantle the bathroom wall. They can get the X-Kairos on and popping it open. In this position, be committed to. He just doesn't want to give it up, and just crouching down behind the head high holds is going to continue to try and fight back. It's going to force Destiny to engage in a gunfight. Drone information, spotting the Jaeger going prone. Nice catch by the Nitrous LM to make sure that round does not end too early on. Now, again, Lasmo just doing good use with the utility here, but do they spot the Jaeger who's moved prone onto Pixel corner? The drone so far away for Lasmo. This could be massive if Leighton goes undetected here. but Loki just focusing on MC instead gets the opener kill for the defense. The drone should have spotted out the prone Leighton as well as the Wamai deep in the back corner.
They know.
Oh, okay.
They
They
didn't
get,
know
the,
till the
they
last
get the kill
second.
from the window. They get the kill from the window, though. And you know what? A little bit of team damage, not ideal, but it works out for them. They can now start to push on in. Do have to be wary of the mirror window, commanding the long line of sight. But it doesn't matter if Fiasco's landing shots like that. Creed's doing a great job, as well as Venoms, but the plant going down amidst the chaos. And now, with 45 seconds left, the timer flips against the defense. They have to find a way to retake this, and the positions just patiently being held now by the attack. They're not going to give themselves away. Aware of the rotation into bathroom and gets the first kill. Don't know the location of the last, but the Venoms giving it away to get that kill. Now they do. The backup from Make Your Destiny. They aren't going to engage in the gunfight. One below, one in shop, swing together at the perfect time to finish off map number 1. Make Your Destiny. They take it home. They demolish Cafe. The attacks were clinical. It was 7 rounds in a row.
It's hard to say much more than that. 7 in a row is an egregious stat line. Make Your Destiny said, okay, yeah, we get it. We're kind of the underdogs. They had a good game against Heroic on Cafe. But maybe if we had played Heroic, it would have been a different story and it wouldn't even been a close game. We could have taken them a lot like we did here. It's insane to see. I'm also just kind of shocked at the lack of communication between the team there from GQ when it came to their defense. Venoms has a perfect sideline through the Black Mirror. They can see everything. And yet they do not call the information to Shed that there are players inside the car lounge. And instead they swing it wildly and they get punished because of that. Venoms could have kept another man alive. That could have been a 2v3 then. A 3v3 is still to that point because the second man was forced to engage once they lost Shed. Too many mistakes, they add up and they ultimately end in the one big mistake, which is losing the round, and the biggest mistake, which is losing a map, which by the way was Jiho's map pick and has now been swept under the rug quite literally from underneath them.
I mean, I don't know what to expect from next, right? You like you said, you go on to Chalet next, Make Your Destiny's map pick, but we'll throw it back to the analyst desk. We'll hear what they have to say about the chaos that just unfolded on Cafe.
Thank you very much, Golu. Chaos indeed it was. What a game. History repeats itself again here in Playday number 2. We had one team here in this tournament take a tier 1 team to overtime on their map. They take another team to the same map and they lose on it. That was the story with White Tigers, and now this is the story with Jihu. Noctish, what a game. Like, we have to break this down. We have to know why Jihu crumbled the way they did.
Indeed. Actually, first, I want to suggest to Jihu that, guys, whatever sound option that you have in your game, please change it. If it is night mode, put it on hi-fi. It is hi-fi, put it on night mode, because you are struggling with even hearing default utilities. I'm especially actually pointing out to the C4 blowing up into the face of a Jihu player while there was a Volcam on it. But what a game indeed. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it at all. And I believe this result was more of talent game into a mistake game. The teams that had made the most mistakes eventually lost the game.
Yeah, well, it was definitely that sort of story. So tell you what, let's take it from the top. So, you know, obviously map 1 was Cafe. That first half, obviously, you know, Jihu were off to a very good start. It was very convincing. Essentially what we expected of them, right? You know, you had Solace was left unbanned, which personally I thought, when I was watching that, I thought that might actually go against Jihu, but they actually played around it pretty well. You know, they killed I think a couple times. Coincidence led to them killing the Solace first most of the time, which not only helped them, but, you know, also banning out that Zami. I think the Azami was definitely the right call to go there instead of the Solace, definitely deviating away from you know, that sort of trend. And then, but then near the end of that half, we saw MYD sort of improving and adapting to Jihu. So do you want to touch a bit on that later first half?
Yeah, actually, first, I want to refer to Fresh tweet recently on the four operators that right now in the game are we can call them game changer. It's Zami Solis, Walk, and Fenrir in some
Hmm.
points. So
Undoubtedly.
yeah, so basically, if you ban two of them, you still have the ability to pick the other two. So still, you need to build your strategy, your mind game, your mindset around the two operator out of these four which left unbanned. But about the second half, so first, MYD has been struggling so much from communication, from the synchronization between players, and more importantly, the utility usage. The moment
Mhm.
that they change into attack, it was like there is another bread has been brought into their soul. So they started blossoming, making less and less mistakes into each round. They have been able to play the utility game. They have been able to find the flaws and mistakes that Jihu made one after another. Aggressive plays, unnecessary picks, terrible positioning, and a huge lack of communication between Jihu's player has uh, ended up them costing the first game, which I believe it was not the nature of the map, but more importantly, Jihu has underestimated their opponent.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. It definitely sort of felt like, the roles were switching. It's like the MYD were getting better as Jihu got worse. It was that sort of shifting momentum, and Jihu were sort of realizing that, so they call a timeout. And it definitely felt like that timeout was a sort of last resort for them because um, they hadn't won around since, and B, it just, yeah, everything just went uh, like, yeah, just down.
Yeah, call a timeout, it's usually by either the analyst or the team coach.
Mhm.
Right now in the T1 scene, we have coaches like Mipe. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a team at the moment. But Mipe or Mr. Officer that are more on the psychological game, on
Yeah.
motivational route, and then you have people like Anarchic from Heroic, or Titan from G2, even Fabian on G2, that they pour into the tactical solutions and the possible things that have gone wrong. Uh, in this case, I believe Jihu's timeout was more of a tactical nature because
Hmm.
they have been making silly mistakes. So when you bring IQ and the bring of IQ, it means that yeah, you have realized your enemy is using too much utility, so you need to clear them out, and then you lost it by a spawn pick or a quick pick. This means that you haven't realized the value of your IQ, that it needs to be stay safe, then been brought and use the utility in mid game and the end game. So yeah, I believe the nature of that was more tactical, which it didn't work at all.
Yeah, no, at all. And it's weird because you said there's two different timeouts, right? You got the motivational one, the tactical one. It feels like the tactical one was really what Jihu needed, but still, it just didn't. It didn't. It didn't show, right? So, I guess we could kind of like pin that on. It just seemed like Make Your Destiny were just improving bit by bit and just adjusting to Jihu, and Jihu just simply couldn't keep up. I think it's just I think it got down to a mental game at that point near the end where Jihu just seemed like they were getting frustrated, because at the beginning they were looking completely confident. I think everyone can say that for a certain, but yeah, I think it just definitely came down to the mental there at the end. But I think that's gonna conclude our analyst section here for today, and we're gonna sorry for now, and we're gonna cut to a quick break. See ya.
Where is it written that all our dreams must be small? Where is it written that all our dreams must be small? Where is it written that all our dreams must be small?
And welcome back to the Playoffs for Titan series. My name is Goril, as always, and we have just come hot off the back of a very interesting game between Jihu and MYD, with MYD actually winning out on Jihu's map, which I don't think anyone expected. It definitely felt like it was just them falling apart mentally. But now we're heading into Chalet, which is MYD's map pick, and frankly, I don't know what to expect here at this point, so I'm gonna throw it over to the casters instead.
Thank you very much once again for entering us into this series. We've got second map under the way. Says you don't know what to expect for this one. How are we supposed to expect for this one? You had an analyst to help guide you through things. What are we supposed to do? We're just two guys talking over the top of a video game. Who knows? I'm hoping this one goes a little bit closer in terms of Jihu finding themselves a footing quite literally into this series. Because starting off 4-0 and giving up 7 in a row, yeah, I don't know what to say about it, Gola.
Yeah, if we see another instance of just teams taking it in turns to get their little collection of round wins, gonna, not the highest of entertainment. You want to see a bit of that back and forth. You want to see these teams actually find a way to win on not just the attack. I mean, Make Your Destiny, they did that. They did win 2 of those defensive rounds, but decided Jihu starting out on the attack this time. It's Chalet, and the ban phase slightly different already. That Thatcher gone, and Jihu, who were big fans of the Nook, you thinking Creeds sat on staircases being problems all day long, they've decided that they're going to axe it away. They don't feel like they want it for their attacking lineups. They want to deny it to Make Your Destiny when that side swap comes on through. I mean, it's a bit of an interesting one.
Interesting is gonna have to be a lot more than just that for this game. Jihu, I think somebody in the chat said it best. Jihu is a team that can attack, but they ghost on the defense. And if that is true, if Jihu are actually that, they gotta do a lot for this first half. they need a first half, Golo. They need to be a lot more than just interesting. They need to be, what's the word I want to phrase it as? They need to turn into Willy Wonka. They need to create the most impressive, mystical, magical affairs. They've got to bring something out of nothing. They got to make a chocolate river and start flowing down it. Because right now they've got no flow state. They have absolutely nothing going ahead of them. A 7-round-in-a-row loss. It's still the momentum. Yes, a bit of a longer break. Or Anna's had a lot to talk about, thankfully so. Because we sure as heck did not. Let's be frank here, Golo. There's not much to say besides make your destiny. Just took the opportunity just given to them. Jihu, it's got to be a different team. Let your little brother on the keyboard and mouse, man, because you got to play like you're a whole new team.
I feel like you'd be hoping the little brother was on the keyboard first. I mean, like,
yeah,
maybe,
like maybe take it back.
If you're like, it's supposed to be the way around. I mean, like, if you're calling your little brother, you're like, oh, I'm stuck on the boss fight, guys. Like, it's not even like it's not the final boss, right? It's like the mini boss. It's like, oh, I'm stuck on the mini boss. You have to call your little, like, your 7-year-old brother in who's like grown up on Fortnite. Like, I don't know. That would do things to my ego that I could never get back. But it is Chalet. It is going to be a little bit different. And, you know, Make Your Destiny, they're going to be starting us off right down off in the basement. I feel like there's been such a saga with Chalet in terms of figuring out where we want to go, what we want to play. Because, like, I could have sworn when this map was first sort of being played, gosh, the basement just felt so bad. Yeah. But now, with tools, Azami coming in to really help this, sort of rotation deployable shield, obviously losing does hurt it a little bit, but we've seen teams really figure out, like, okay, we just need to hold more space out of sight. And you're seeing that very early on for Make Your Destiny, who do have 2 players right up by Library, threatening some run-out perhaps, but very quickly, Jihu opening up the main breach from Stoneville Garage, and then pulling back, rotating away. I like this. We saw it before from Jihu on Cafe, opening up a couple early angles to give themselves options later on into the round. You sort of also force Make Your Destiny to now have to play around the fact this wall is open. They don't have the information, but someone could always be there waiting to collect an opening kill.
If it was in a spot where maybe they could get rushed in from the player jumping in towards Billiards, not seeming to be the case. Shed will jump in through Ego window. Pays the ultimate price, gets DB and Ode, and does force a Nitro Cell to be used for the finisher. At the very least, you get something out of nothing. Loki's still hanging out over there, all the way on Library Stairs, constantly where a player may step in from Piano through Ivy Hall. Does not seem to be the next kill to fall in their favor, though. Fiasco is the next one to find a frag. Make Your Destiny finding themselves a 5-2 split already in terms of numbers advantage. It's Leighton, Nox, Venoms doing everything they can, and you got to strike fast if you're on the side of Jihu. 90 seconds remaining with limited man counts. You got to start making quick work. And with the breach having already been opened up on the outside side, you'd expect them after a point of entry. They've completely circumvented it and headed everywhere else but there. Off-screen Venoms will fall, and Leighton is not far behind. That is a round win easily. A flawless nature, it seems, for Make Your Destiny. Nothing, no pizzazz from Jihu in that round.
Very much felt like walk in and die, and then walk in and die, and then walk in and die, and then get killed and then die, and then walk in and die. Yeah. And I mean, that's the best way to summarize the last round. It was Jihu playing this spread out game. We saw it from G2 at SI. Obviously, a little bit of similarity to the namesake. Makes sense. There's a little bit of similarity in how they're looking for these opening picks. But ultimately, it isn't working for them anymore, right? The pressure that we saw them getting off early into Cafe, finally Make Your Destiny ready to battle them immediately into the round, and having that roam set up upstairs, identifying that, yeah, they're going to have the breach, but they're still looking for that wraparound towards Blue, towards Ivy. Good preparation from Make Your Destiny to meet them at the first hurdle. And now you get that first win, you get to move on to the next site, and this is one of those sites that's just such a classic. It's kitchen dining. You're going to be having this set up upstairs. You've already seen the castle come in just to continue to extend the hold up above. And I'm really liking the heavy utility investment up above the site. There is going to be that threat that a team trying to play a little bit quickly around Solar. That's the sort of play we might expect to come out from Jihu, who we haven't actually seen take a game to Chalet so far this season. But going off the vibe and the cocktail take feels very similar to something like a Solarium side push. I don't know. We'll have to see how it unfolds, though, because you never quite know. But the army is already doing wonders at just setting up so many positions that MYD can sit behind to just threaten off the initial clear.
Love your mentioning last round of the fact that Basement and the initial stage of Soleil's rework and being brought back into the scene for the competitive scene. It didn't feel great. And the objective of choice for this map at the time was Master Bedroom and Office.
Oh.
So,
Oh,
we
how
have
things
obviously
change.
strayed away from it because that objective is horrendous. It is awful. It never feels good. If you're a caster in any scene here for R6, Golu, you say something wrong and you will be lambasted at the sticks immediately, right off the rip. I advocated for Basement's pick over Master Bedroom right at the beginning of Chalet, and I got torn a new one over and over again. Now you say the opposite, and it should be the case because it actually rightfully so is. Thankfully, you can play as if you're holding Master Bedroom in Office for this. But on top of being able to play like that, you can extend downwards and be able to escape quickly through Hatch and Master Bedroom, as well as falling down Solarium stairs safely because you have a nice drop that is mostly safe from that window inside Solarium. Yes, playing with an Office is a little bit more dangerous, but you create the rotate hole anyways to Master Bedroom. You have the hatch drop to bring you right back to the kitchen, which then sets yourself up for the later stages of the round. And Jihu, they did it quicker than this. They're not into the map yet. They've got control, yes, of Fireplace Hall, but past that, they don't have a proving ground. They have not taken Mezzanine. They have no control towards Big Window. They've tried to swing in towards Fireplace Hall, but they've already lost 2 men, leading to a 5 versus 3 where Make Your Destiny just have to continue to sit behind the footholds they've created for themselves behind the zombie barricades, as well as the shields they more likely than not will bring to the second floor over and over again. None here in this round, however. They have so many safety nets to fall back on, and there's nothing for Jihu who's seen a Gemini replicator in, and all it finds is information, but that player's just going to retreat.
Now trying to apply the pressure onto Piano Window, but you can see the way that MYD are playing. They're peeling away, they're slowly falling back, and giving up so much of this very valuable time. 35 seconds left for the attack of Jihu to clear out the top floor, get pressure inside of Office, and Baby Shark just grabs the kill. They're walking into his line of sight. A second one gifted on a silver platter, looking for the third, and turns back, grabs it again. A flawless round for round number 2. And MYD, once again, having the same effect on Cafe. They are very happy to sit patiently. Jihu walking up blind. And Phonosis, you praised them on their attacks. Jihu, the thing missing from their Cafe defenses was information. They're missing it here. The drones aren't in the right position. They're not pushing together enough to play for these refrags. And MYD are doing such a good job at just sitting patiently in awkward positions, watching the line of sight, with the setups just enabling them to play back comfortably, and they will collect kill after kill after kill. And Jihu just look lost.
Jihu on Cafe in the second half, they would jiggle peek for intel. They would, ego swing and angle. They'd get a bit of information, and then they trust that information for 45 plus seconds, Golu. Do you know what can happen in 45 seconds?
A hell of a lot.
Half of my college essay papers in 45 seconds. A lot can go down in that amount of time. Make Your Destiny are nowhere near where you last gathered that information. They drone out with the Gemini replicator. Oh, there's a player upstairs still holding out towards Office. We got Piano Player. Let's take our time getting rid of the Kiba barricade. Once it's gone, they must still be there. When they're not, Jihu's shocked. And instead of sending another drone out to gather that space and take control, they just ego swing 3 players back to back. We'll play for refrag. Refrags won't work when you're already down 2 men. If you play a refrag game, you will lose because you don't have the man counts that Make Your Destiny had at that point. Jihu need a completely new idea for their attack, going near flawless in round 1 against them, going flawless in round 2 against them. Make Your Destiny are a team that are attempting to usurp the status quo here, and it's working.
Setup, right? Already, Jihu very early on are trying to put themselves in positions to threaten out this library hole. But without tools like the Flores, it becomes a little bit harder to dismantle. Only the ones that have grenades in the pocket of MC, and I mean, that's their only explosive. It's their only way to get rid of these deployable shields. And you can see the amount of time it's taken them to get utility in the right places. They haven't got the burn set up to do so. And a minute in, very little work done looking away at the positions that MYD are very happy to sit in down below. Finally, Shed able to find an opening pick. That's Baby Shark going down. You lose the Wamai, you lose the 3 charging Magnets. Does take a little bit of damage in exchange for that kill, but ultimately something you'll be very happy to get away with. Now we're starting to see Loki forced back away as Juha, well, he is going to take just a touch of damage from outside on the garage balcony window. But so far, still okay here from the side of the defense. As Creed's wrapping around into the basement, they know this Vigil's lurking below. They want to deal with the threat early.
Fiasco's still watching it from Hash Inside Gaming. Play on the outside balcony could be a constant thorn in their side, who actively using their drones, something we are very glad to see. It is Make Your Destiny losing 2 players fairly quickly here in this round, but they'll refrag 2 right back. Fiasco and Loki firing into Shed, and of course over towards Creed's as well. And with 60 seconds remaining and even 3-on-3, G-Who are just happy to be here. They've still got plenty of chances left here in this round. Not very much util remaining. 2 smoke canisters of flash. And yes, you do have some util that has been hacked with that clutch drone. You have some X-Kairos pellets, but the hard breaching needed to have been done a minute prior. No more chances. Time is running out. And MC has a lot of open space ahead of them. But with the Banshee on the wall that needs to be removed, I believe it has been clutch drone hacked. I believe that's the color for it. And it seems to be working for G-Who. They'll lose MC, but Venoms and Latent fire and find 2 in quick succession. Leading Venoms, now leading into default plant. Will put down the diffuser. Lunchbox on the ground, and it's an all-you-can-eat buffet for Lasmu, who has so much work now ahead of them. Knows a player is inside dining, but they're extended quite far. They could cut for the 1v1 outside games window, try to deal with Venoms, and try to go for the 1v1 instead for the post plant. 5 seconds left. They'll try to tap it, forcing Venoms forward. Venoms will not fall for the bait, though. Honestly, last move for jump out window to take Venoms by surprise. Leighton moves up through hatch. They'll be spotted. They get the kill. Last move, a 1v1, but time not on their side. Venoms is hiding, and it's not going to matter. The bearing strikes fast as G-Who will find their first round win.
Very close attempt there, right? The pressure coming in from the hatch does get off the defuse in time to take that gunfight. But brilliantly played by Venoms. Recognizing you just got to run, you just got to hide at that point, and you sat outside long enough, the Melusi chases you out, you're going to get that wall hack after 1 second, and you can very comfortably take that last engagement knowing exactly where your opponent's going to be standing. But again, for G-Who, it's kind of this little bit of a mishmash round there. They do get the opening thanks to Shed playing on the window, but there wasn't that strong utility effort to take away the deployable shield that forced Loki back. Instead, it was kind of just you throw enough stuns and smokes and you eventually just have players pushing in through library. They have to give it up because now you're challenging physically with too many vertical angles. So it wasn't utility usage that cleared out these positions. It was just them moving in and taking control themselves. And when you have that setup, you're above inside a library, you can start using the utility down like instead. And we saw Shed try to do that with the Ying, but Fiasco doing a great job exploiting just a tiny opening in the floorboards to get that kill onto the Ying, which made dealing with the execute a little bit easier. Despite that, brilliant job from both Leighton and Venoms in the end there to drop at the same time. And it was applying that pressure together on different angles that really sort of messed with MYD. And that's what brought them that strength to get into position for that plant. You're now seeing a return to the basement, though, Infernosis. And, I mean, look, we saw it go incredibly one-sidedly. MYD lost 1 kill, and they swept up the rest of G-Who. I'm interested to see how this approach changes. We saw that very quick opening of the Snowmobile garage, and they have the Dokkaebi with the Impact EMPs ready to potentially do so once again. But instead, they want to do a more concerted effort at clearing out this room, because that's where things really started to go wrong for them. They didn't put enough respect on the players of MYD up above, and very quickly spotting out one roamer on the drone, they now know there's someone lurking around library that they can try and put the pressure onto.
Keep in mind, G-Who, after coming off the success of a round, which they had not found in the past 9 rounds prior to that, maybe feeling a little bit more confident than they necessarily have been. A minute has already elapsed and they've not lost a player. G-Who in the first round did a very wonderful job of clearing away Big Breach, aka Snowmobile Garage Wall, but they didn't use it. They didn't act with that information. Because of that, it let Meet Your Destiny to just hide away in the screen corners of the map of Chalet and to give G-Who the worst vacation possible here at the Snowmobile, I would say, venue. This oh so wonderful ski hut. Breaking away, though, you have to deal with the fact that this place cannot be resold. floorboards and metal barricades placed everywhere. Meet Your Destiny have done a fairly good job of having some retreating angles. We saw a player earlier forced to drop down through a supply wall that was opened up, ran away from a drone. The drone did not get removed, which is good for G2, but it doesn't give them any success because Venoms has been eradicated, swept away by Meet Your Destiny. The man advantage falling back in their favor. I believe that's the best chance they have to create a really nice hole, wide enough for the full team to swing through effectively inside that wall. It's a lot more difficult, and they'll have to deal with the Kiva barricades on top of it, and you have nothing at that range now that your Selmas are gone.
Pressure on both sides now, as well as the vertical, and that's going to force the player on Pillar to move out the way. MC sat outside Snowmobile, does grab that kill. So you get that man advantage. Now you're just looking to try and push one more player out of position. Diffuser in the pocket of the Dokkaebi. So where are they going to try and move? Well, the path looks like towards the main stairs. Coming out the balcony, getting ready to move into pins, perhaps. Now that you have the confirmation, that pillar is clear. You don't have to worry about players pushing you out from connector. But as I say that, Lasmo able to slip through the guidelines, just get into position. Buck on the main stairs, but I don't think they're aware if they can sneak this Dokkaebi in 15 seconds. So stopping this plant is now imperative. They walk around the corner, but overcommit. And Creed's MC each able to pick up a kill. The last remaining defender is upstairs inside a buying place. Creed's has to provide the cover. They walk down the stairs, and he does. Able to hear the footsteps, turn around in the nick of time to find another attacking round win for Jihu, who see a lot more on it now. Something's turned on behind the scenes.
Jihu finally realized, hey, we lose, we're out. It's not a BO1 to determine our placement in our group. It's a BO3. We want to move on. We want the rematch against Heroic if it's all but possible. Depends on the standings will show out. They want to go all the way through to the end. And the team that's standing in their way slaughtered them on their own map pick. And now it's their responsibility to do the exact same thing. We'll tie things up 2-2. After a 9-round spree for Make Your Destiny, they've finally been silenced, hushed. Maybe silence is not the best term. They've still been plenty active. It's been a close affair. Like you said, overextensions to deal with the planting player. Maybe some over-aggressive peaks early in the round. They get free damage out. Maybe utility plays a little bit of ride against G2, which they can work from. But losing Venoms early and still finding success in the round through Breach is impressive for Jihu. The issue stayed for Make Your Destiny. Despite getting that kill, they had to swing for the kill for the Diffuser. They had to play off Diffuser. If Jihu get back outside, it's all but lost. Make Your Destiny do not have the playstyle in which they can swing outdoors, spotted the whole time, and still get the kills necessary to go for the post play. It could happen last round, it happened the round before that, and it all but could still happen here for Jihu. But they're going to have their work cut out from. Can't escape the outdoors from this objective. It is pretty close to the chest. Fireplace Hall was heavily utilized from Jihu initially. They lost 3 players on that breach throw, and Jihu had no success on the top floor. This was the round, I think, that ultimately said Make Your Destiny could ultimately control the map. But I don't know. I think a timeout. I think Meet Your Destiny, I don't know. Jihu needed a timeout. They used it before. I don't know why they wouldn't use it in this half. You've seen all the objectives.
Yeah. Going back up to the top floor. A couple of openings here to be able to watch down towards jungle if the push from Jihu comes in quickly. Still with the changes made by the attack, Flores in particular, expecting some of these Kibas to be dismantled. I'd expect to see a cleaner push from Jihu at removing this top floor roam, because ultimately that was what did them in there. Baby Shark just sat inside of Walk-in, sat by the bathroom, collected a couple too many kills for Jihu's liking, and already a little bit of a slow start here for Jihu, who are setting themselves up. Just want to make sure that they're not going to get caught out by any runouts or any shenanigans coming out from NYD. As they open up this office breach, they do have the Azami in close proximity, who they will have to be a little bit wary of, makes their way back towards the half wall and starts again this peeling away of the defense. Open, or soon to be opened up as well. That access into site is going to cause a little bit of split attention here for the side of NYD, as now we're hearing the ectothermic charge explode. Are they going to try and push into West Main Lobby? The Dokkaebi calls coming through, as well as drone information, but MC caught off by Fiasco upstairs. That's not the opening they were looking for.
Juwon's got an angle of dominance working in Kitchen Hall, has an angle from Trophy that they've opened up through that wall. Jiwoo are prepping a nade to deal with the Ivy Castle barricade. It goes too far right. And that barricade will stay open. I don't think they know. They jumped back through Ego window. They're going to go out the mezzanine window. They're going to try to swing out through office door instead. Finka met them, or sorry, Fiasco met them early. And unfortunately, didn't find the kill they wanted. Flashbangs galore to try to create some space. A plant is attempted. Should have known better, Jiwoo. You haven't cleared the office side. Make your destiny up with 2 players. They'll swing farther into sight. Leighton has collected the diffuser. Works towards Lasmo. They're still there. And another one to knock on the peg. It's Make Your Destiny. Round back in return. They'll climb the lead in their favor. And it's just another chance for Jiwoo. Failing to clear a floor, failing to cover their angles, and Make Your Destiny punish them rightfully so.
It's a complete mismatch is what we're seeing. 2 different objectives that you have to achieve when attacking onto kitchen and dining. You need to clear out office because it has the vertical angles looking down into dining where you want to go for that diffuser. They open up the wall. Great start. Lose a player. Okay, that's fine. You can still work around this, but there needs to be some form of coordination. They have frag grenades. They can burn out these Keepers. They have a Flores. They can use the Reterras to blow up the Keepers. You need to find a way to dislodge these power positions that MYD is setting up for themselves. Baby Shark, very comfortable, just to sit on the half wall with absolutely no threat. You're seeing Fiasco on the Amai doing exactly the same thing. And all that we see happen is eventually the Thermite just says, "Ah, screw it, I'm running in for the plant." He goes in. Who's sat right above him? It's Fiasco. He's not on your team. He's just going to look down and shoot you. You have to have the control above before you can push into dining. And because of the lack of communication, because we're not seeing them taking the steps together as a squad, as a unit, it's starting to fall apart. And it's forcing them to make rash decisions that MYD are perfectly happy to capitalize on. You can't be throwing away rounds like this. You've got to do a better job.
For Jiwoo coming into this last round with the final switch, we've highlighted they tend to ghost a little bit on the defense. At least that was the case on our first map with Shellac. Make it or break it territory. When you're talking about a game like Valorant or CSGO, 3 is what you need to work with before that halftime switch. I'd say 2 is your minimum margin of error, but if you're a team that's a little bit worse for wear on the defense, 3 is the minimum you need because you couldn't get the job done with 4 on Cafe. Make Your Destiny have pretty much dictated the pacing of this map. Better control, they've had more space freely. Jiwoo like to cruise in very slowly. We've seen them have a very categorical assault, very rhythmic in nature. They like to play in piece by piece. They clear each other's corners, but it's too slow and Make Your Destiny, I've already played a flank. There's no flank watch. They don't have an air jab in play. They're trying to work off those drones, but the drones only work if a man is watching them. And it feels like when a Jiwoo player dies, they'd rather criticize their teammate watching them in the spectating cam than be relegated to drone duty like they should be. And I would say that would be a problem, but they weren't even communicating on our first map of Cafe. I highlighted that problem between Shed and Venoms previously. And if that's still a problem here, the Discord channel seemingly is still silent, Jiwoo's going to have a lot of issues coming to the final 90 seconds now and ticking away. And it's still a full 5-on-5, and they're just now clearing the Syria gates inside Library.
They've done a better job on Ivy, and for me, that's the biggest mistake that they had, so that they didn't have that concerted effort this time with MC picking up the Flores. Sure, you're playing on easy mode. I don't care how you get it done as long as your steps are completed. And now with this weakened position on Mezzanine, you can start to move on in, but it does not seem to matter. Low-key, still, without the deployable shield, is playing on Ivy's staircase, grabbed himself a double. They grabbed themselves a third in the background as well, so this entire push, despite clearing the utility, has been completely dismantled. And I don't know what they're doing here. I mean, Low-key is just standing on the staircase and donating a triple.
A 4-2 is not a place you want to be. It's a desolate playground for Jiwoo. You get some sort of confidence, you get your feet back under you, you get 2 in a row. You shut down the 9-round spree over 2 maps for Make Your Destiny. And then they're right back in solid footing. It's like they slipped on ice. It's just a small clinical error. They attempted the same objective twice. You took it twice. We just don't like that side. That's as simple as it. Make Your Destiny are now just a couple rounds away. They take these like they did on the map prior, from closing out this series and sending Jihu home, who will not be getting their rematch they're wanting against Heroic in that close affair in Cafe. And they couldn't even survive this Cafe affair and may not be able to survive the Chalet 1-9. Breakfast is underway for Jihu. They're opting to go for the kitchen and dining experience, maybe a 5-star experience, so they can keep this together. Unfortunately, it seems like they left poor Yelp reviews for Make Your Destinies, because they did not like the experience, the dining experience they got in that first half. Losing out pretty much every single time we saw it and just having a very tumultuous affair. I think they choked on their foods, to say the least. I do like their operator selection here, Golu. They keep a barricade, some creeds will work nicely. I think maybe if they had a shield to play on Piano in the hands of Venoms, could be a great play for them. But if you put too much priority on that Piano side, Piano window nade can clear you out quickly, and they can just steal your ADSs with a nice clutch drone, which is being brought from Baby Shark.
Starting all the way over. I mean, again, a pretty standard sort of a take is what you're expecting from them here, right? Clearing out the top floor. MYD, if they can successfully, well, okay, they just got an opening kill onto these armies for free. I don't know what these are. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But you know what? You take what you can get, I guess. Loki's not going to complain. Maybe I will. But now you have that kill onto these army. Don't have to worry about any more of these keepers as the round goes. There's only the 2 that have already been set up. So you can move on in. One more player kind of lurking around the long corridor, but is going to back away to Piano as the traces start to fly through the doorway towards that double door. Loki looking for another kill. Just isn't satisfied with the one. Shed taking a little bit of damage and will have to be a little bit careful. But we're now seeing Make Your Destiny setting themselves up. They're pushing through. They have control of Fireplace thanks to the IQ. Already applying that pressure on towards MC inside of sight. Clutch Drone, like I mentioned, looking to try and catch up these magnets, deny the ability to prevent the nades, the stun grenades as they fly through. Another default camera can work as well. Oh, moved too far away. That one's not going to quite connect. But still, a great job so far from MYD, who are doing the first steps correctly. They've cleared out library and now starting to apply that pressure towards the office breach to deny the vertical angles for their setup down below.
They've noted there's 3 players on the second floor. You've already killed 1. You've damaged and ripped apart a second. The man count is limited, direct on sight. And yes, you'll have to worry about the office pressure. That is true. They'll use the same floorboards you had utilized on your defense a couple rounds prior. But it doesn't mean you don't know the angles that you can work with elsewhere. They'll finally put the Selmas on the wall connecting to dining. They'll get an angle over towards kitchen, looking to maybe remove a player on the opposing side of their cutting boards. Gasco is trying to keep their team alive as best they can. Maybe one working up on mezzanine to go from the top floor still. Last move will swing it in from main door. The entrance being an interesting avenue approach from Make Your Destiny, but when you have the long angle and you got a kill from it in the first place, it is your proving ground to go with. Venoms with the 9mm rips apart Lasmo. Man advantage now in favor for the defense. Make Your Destiny have not yet found the safest way in towards site, but they've at least removed some of the pressure towards office. This would give Make Your Destiny a chance to go for the plant, but they're too concerned from kitchen. MC will go down. Venoms has been actually removed by Fiasco. Leighton's taking a huge lick of damage, and finally MC will be closed and secure. Plant is guaranteed. Loki now get out of dodge. They're taking fire the other way. Shed is having to retreat, but he engages first and foremost. It nets them a kill. The trade from below. Claymore cut down, and Fiasco will get an afterlife kill. They go for another one, and it will fall. Leighton in their favor as Make Your Destiny will take this round back in return to continue to climb.
It's just, you look at what the setup's coming in here, right? And you're seeing, okay, we get the control, we're opening up towards mezzanine. I mean, a kill onto his army early on really, really helps. It just reduces the amount of actual work you have to do. But the biggest thing for Make Your Destiny was understanding the point of Office. It's to deny the verticals. It's to give you the space, the option to then move in for that plant. They're not bothering with time or utility by overcommitting to fully clearing out the top floor. They are opening the breach. They are putting 1 player, just low-key, is standing on that breach. He's contesting some of the longer line of sight through the doorway towards Piano and through the rotation in towards master bedroom, just to make sure that no one from the defensive end is moving back into the space they've already cleared. They're doing a great job of just making sure when they do work, it's not going to be undone. They're just maintaining that steady control. And by having that position watched, you feel comfortable and safe to remove the castle barricade from the jungle, start playing along the side on the doorway. You can open up the main breach and give yourself an opportunity to move in for that plant. A brilliant job at just understanding the basic goals of what they need to do, but then successfully executing on it. And you're seeing the Jihu, despite having man count advantages, eventually are forced to make that move because guess what? The plant's going down and you can't draw a direct line of sight. There's no nitro cell inside of the site to be thrown over onto that bomb chassis to deny it. You're forced to walk up into low key and he will happily take these fights. Sure, a well-placed Claymore does net you a kill. That is a little bit cheeky on the Shed, but these are the sort of things that if you're careful for, they have a contingency, and contingencies win games.
Biggest difference between Jihu's attack, where they breached open office to deny the top-down approach and Make Your Destinies, was when the top-down got breached, when the office wall was entirely removed, Make Your Destiny had a player there ready to swing. They had a player on mezzanine stairs. They had a player on mezzanine itself. They had a player in big window. When Jihu did it, they only had a player on outside balcony. They would have had to jump through big window. They would have had to either go through office door, and neither of those was a really applicable angle to deny the close player behind short brick wall from the side of Make Your Destiny on their defense. It's a different strategy. It's slight variation, positioning of a player who didn't breach but was going to. And that one little thing is the reason why we see Jihu have a completely different result at the end of the day than Make Your Destiny for that round. Even though they started and ultimately kind of ended in similar fashion, all things considered. Make Your Destiny up 5-2. They're looking fairly confident. The objective in a completely new spot. They're going to go ahead and clear out the north side first and foremost, but too much blood has already been shed here in this round. 3 players across the board have been removed. 2 of those from the side of Make Your Destiny, who now have a man disadvantage guarding against them as they slowly brew up something, brewing in from this northern side of the map, knowing players are nearby. They see the breach in the wall. They know an angle must be getting held. The question is there a drone nearby to go for it? They'll drop Cantella's looking to swing, but Jihu escaped down the hatch inside dining just in time.
You have all members downstairs below you now, so that control, whilst you want to have another kill in the mix, is in their hands, and they can still be playing with the pressure around this hatch, especially as Lasmo is now getting the breach into wide open on up, makes it a lot harder to play on this killer angle. Long down towards the connector also being what Juha Candelas in pocket, so that's going to be the big difference maker. If they can get these Candelas deep into sight to create the pocket of space for Lasmo to run on in, but 30 seconds before this collapse needs to happen. They're prepping the first Candela. It's going to roll down into the corner and start to go off to completely disorientate the mirror on the window. Just can't take the swing, but does it anyway. Lands the kill onto the ace, watching out for blue, looking out for the connector, turns around, gets one, still focused on watching out for the connector rotation, rolling out on the Candela, but in the 1 versus 3 because they've just lost everyone else in the backside. Nothing to do, one door looking for the skill, somehow pulls up a triple kill. 2 more to find, 3 seconds to do it. I think this is going to be a little bit of an inevitable task for them to do. The last 2 tucked into corners, Jihu do pull the round together. A good attempt at clearing out this initial roam, but ultimately running into that early pressure and then not being able to really capitalize and jump in on the roam. They dropped back the site, they held their angles tight enough, and Jihu, yeah, I mean, NYD, sure, had the Candelas to try and create the space, but Shed doing a great job just to make sure they're not going to be able to put that plant down safely.
It seems like a prone angle would have been better held through that hatch hole to make sure that the plant going down in that default spot would have been a little bit safer. A Candela and relying only on that Candela, more likely than not, I mean, statistically speaking, how often is a Warden brought into the game? This is a year ago, you'd say it's not too likely, but if this was today, very. Warden has been an exceptional pick for most teams. Jihu have really opted to bring it. They really liked the idea. Last round, of course, was not a concern for them whatsoever. You still have to be ever present that teams don't respect flashes like they used to. They don't respect Candelas either. It's tossed out, they hear it roll, they're gonna get past it, so they don't have to worry about the flashes being looked upon. They Make Your Destiny, they hop off the defused plants, and they pay the price in the end. 5-3 the score line, so not the 6-2 that maybe would have been expected for them going into this. They're not yet at match point and series points. But they still have their work cut out ahead of them as that 3-round buffer has been slowly closed into 2, as it seems like Jihu are starting to get a little bit more confidence behind themselves. This is back to a site that Make Your Destiny had really no problems with here, Golo, dealing with. Talked about the breach through office wall that forced the Jihu extension back towards Solarium, where they could not contend from above, which meant the plant could go down easily inside dining behind the bomb chassis. And even past that, the control from Jihu and Kitchen was dealt with by Fiasco, who had 3 kills in that round, and one of them was off a Claymore. So they didn't just get the job done with a rifle.
Jerome again setting up above. Look, the setup coming out from Jihu is very similar, and I'm expecting to see NYD going for a very similar approach. But as I say that, they're instead going for a very aggressive start by trying to get right up into jungle. They're moving into sight without dealing with the players above, without dealing with a breach, defending deep on the long angle in the kitchen, but the pressure from above making that gunfight a lot more unenviable to take. Venoms is shut down by Baby Shark, who's just standing on the doorway, grabs himself a double kill. Creed's coming from the blue stairs from behind, is able to take down the Yana of Low-Key. So now a 2 versus 3 in favor of the defense, and you have to be very careful of Creed, who's still lurking around behind you, looking to peek this corridor if you give them the opportunity. Can they move on quickly into sight, though? The vertical angles set up aren't going to catch anyone off just yet. They're still waiting for the walk on in. Juhal trying to fight against the angle, but it's just too much to do. Moving in quickly, does avoid the long gaze and catches the kill on Ted, who tries to walk in a split to deal with it, but from the hatch inside the kitchen above, able to draw the line of sight, required to take down Yumar. Baby Shark, who already has 2 kills in this round, is going to need to make it a quad if they want to win and push their team to that point. The pings coming through, the defense know exactly where they are underneath. Now the diffuser, trying to see if they can successfully get that plant there at 50%, and they're going to be able to commit to it here. The vertical angle's not being watched in the correct spot, but immediately rotates into the same position. Yuha went down, Inferno, and that's going to net another defensive round for Jihu. A brilliant job to get the diffuser down in the corner, but couldn't commit to it, couldn't stay alive in the post-plant situation. Just the nerves got to them a little bit. They just didn't know where was going to be safe, and ended up walking right into the sight lines of the defenders.
You can tell when a player is not used to pressure in a 1vx situation. Not understanding your location in comparison to floorboards that have been created, hatches that have already been pre-existing, and angles that you know your team has been felled from just moments prior. These things happen. I swear an average R6 player at a high-ranking level has a brain 10 times larger than the size of mine. So you have to remember every single hole that's been created, and as a defending player, you're creating a plethora of them right off the rip, and it changes nearly every round. Or at least it should, if you're trying to vary your strategy and kind of catch them off guard. You can't let yourself grow complacent, not just with the picks of your rounds and where you're going to defend that round, but also with how you're going to set up for each round back-to-back. I think Jihu have been a somewhat complacent team, especially with Game Cafe. Both sides have Capcom, but we're doing a lot better here. You can already see they've created an opportunity for a rotate in through alongside the Black Mirror that's placed, making sure they have a rotate away from Master Closet towards Master Bedroom and being able to cut down the option of a Solarium push. So go ahead and start setting up some defenses here over towards Library. I don't see Make Your Death often going in through the Library balcony side. We did see them clear the Azami barricade and swing in from there 2 rounds, I believe, prior. But it's not as safe of an angle if your team can't control Fireplace Hall, and Jihu seemingly have mezzanine presence, which makes it very difficult to do exactly that.
Chen backing away is trying to be this presence, right? Inside a library, you've got the keepers that you can set up. You can keep yourself sort of continuously sustained. NYD looking to clear it out as part of the initial start of this roam, right? You want to get that. It's very much the same. You get the office opened up, you can start applying direct pressure into sight. Fiasco finding the opener onto Venoms is a great start for them. Does get injured in that exchange. That inside of sight.
An office.
They are in. They have walked in. They've repelled into the window, walked in from Ego balcony, and have sight control. And just from this position, the repel outside is able to watch the rotation through piano. They can go for the diffuser hit. Creed's the last member alive. As sight is just stolen away, has to try and fight back through Master Bedroom here. I mean, 3 versus 1. The outside angle being held from the piano window. This should not be possible. Looking for an aid, try and dissuade them from pushing up. I'm gonna wait it out and then go for round 2. The swing with the pistol. Ace is not gonna get the pistol kill here. Nope, it's gonna be the line from the window to very comfortably take that round. But Jihu somehow just allowing them to dance their way in.
Dance. I don't know how you sprint while dancing, but I'd love to see a video of that, girl, if you mind sending me to that one afterwards. That was a sprint into sights, a sprint for control, and a miracle that it even found a kill and led to Fiasco, yes, getting TBNO'd after the state, but giving space to the team to then just continue to take control of offense. Make Your Destiny, I don't think they liked me saying Jihu have changed up their strategy. They've actually shown variation on their defense for setups. Make Your Destiny just say, here's a variation. You haven't seen this one before, unless you've been playing in Copper for a while. We're just going to take side. Dump a little bit of utility. It's, second nature to us. We're taking control of the objective. We're doing it as fast as humanly possible. It's the most dumbed down approach you can go, but it's very intelligent. Jihu is expecting this very slow burn crawl to Make Your Destiny have been brewing up round after round. Being constantly concerned about the floorboards, setting up the breaches, making sure that they can't use the floorboards against them, setting up so much top-down denial that you just ignore the top-down. The site's there. Just take it for yours. It's yours in the first place. And Make Your Destiny say, if we can't sprint to win, what's the point in sprinting in the first place? On top of it, they're going for spawn peaks as well. If Shed gets this kill, Jihu may have a foot to work with in the round. I think they know. They do know. Oh.
A bit of damage. Not bad. I mean, didn't die, so you can't complain too much. Still got one of these mirror windows in pocket, so I'm going to reinforce this wall up and set it up. We saw it there before, and we saw kind of what was happening with MYD trying to open it up. Still looking to maybe clear out this middle floor roam. A couple players on drones on the roof, just gathering that early intel. I'd like to see someone moving up with those drones as well, so we can actually act off of that information pretty swiftly. The initial pings do come through. You can hear the Sledge opening up the window into Solarian. Got to check your staircase as well, so you don't want to get caught out. But so far, a pretty standard approach, just clearing out. Pressure on the balconies. Oh. And I mean, Jura just able to play on big window, grab the kill onto Leighton. That's a big presence gone. You get rid of the alibi as well, who's one of those operators that can always cause you problems. MC looking like he might be moving upstairs to try and lend some support to the Warden, who found themselves all alone upstairs now due to the loss of Leighton.
You don't have a castle, you can't play on T. That door needs to be barricaded, it needs to be secured. You cannot give a free angle for master bedroom big window. Collies are played on this map, shockingly enough. Snipers exist. Blackbeard can get played. You've seen occasionally in NA for the T3 scene when they want to take control of that window. And I don't condone that, but it happens. Maybe that's just NA players being weird. Maybe we're just different. Keep barricades put in play too in quick succession. That won't force them to waste even more util or time, just having to melee that one down. It is a 4-on-4. They'll clear away the drone hole. They'll also sit near it. MC will just wait for it to be meleeed once through that drone hole, and that will give them a bit of information that a player is in fact there, and they can quickly respond in tow. But for the side of Make Your Destiny, they're on the opposing side of the map. It looks like they want to work in from Wine Door and also through that boiler wall, which is finally getting Selma's placed upon it.
Opening up Wine, we saw this approach them last time. This time, the Candelas aren't going to be the option to provide the cover when they go in for the plant. So they are going to require Fiasco on the hatch above to play a more active role in trying to shut down the potential swing that comes through. The flashbangs being thrown out to give them cover so they can move Baby Shark towards the bridge so that they can hold the long angle that is immediately going to pay off for them. Loki does die, trading out with Shed, but Baby Shark there to catch off Venoms, and now you've taken both players out of Wine. You can go for the plant, the long angle should be set up, the E1D deployed to prevent a counter swing. And still watching from the hand, first ping coming out into Contender. Lasmo does get the kill by rotating around. The last connector will be collected. And MYD, they've done it. We said it, the desk said it. Jihu were the team coming into this that you should be favoring. They won that head-to-head during the group stage, but they've proved us wrong, and they bounced back tremendously in these last two maps to do so.
You're talking about a team, the only team to give heroic in this group, which I said right at the very beginning. This is a group with 2 invited teams coming into it. It's the toughest group you could ask for here in the whole thing, and they still put up a fight against them. Heroic is they wiped everyone else, to be frank. They dominated everyone in the field. And a lot of it just come down to, before a game starts, the map bans determine a lot of everything, right? There's a battle before the war. And unfortunately, the battle meant nothing here in this series. They got Cafe. They're like, we took Heroic to Cafe and we almost beat them. They went to OT. We only lost 8-6. You didn't even compete on Cafe when it came to the second half, let alone the ending of the first half. It's a different team. It's a different game, and they just beat you at that game. You should have gone back to Oregon, where you had won 7-2 prior. They lost the battle. They lost the war, and it is a full BO3 this time around. So they had a lot of chances to give themselves a foothold, and it just did not work. They thought they were confident. It just was not the case. My name has been Infernosis. I've been joined here by Gold. We've been super excited to have this broadcast going away. We're going to send it right back over to the host. Then after that, an interview to get things going and end it.
Thank you very much, Infernosis. Great cast and Golu as well. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. David has won against Goliath for a second time here, again in Playday number 2 here of the Titan Series playoffs. Man, clearly Jihu did not watch the last quarterfinal game, because it basically repeated itself word for bar. And yeah, it's just insanity. I did not see this coming at all. Noctish, thoughts?
Actually doubts that they have even watched a single WOD since the group stage. I'm lost for the words, you know. People here actually knows that I'm not the type of guy that flame people or belittle them by any means, but you know, sometimes you need to be realistic, and this was like a T10 tier 10 performance from Jihu, with all due respect to the games that they have played so far. But I don't know what has been going wrong with them. Was it only communication? Was it not watching enough? Was being looking down on MYT? A combination, all of them? I actually don't know. But the performance was not there.
No, absolutely not. It definitely felt like, just going into the details of how MYD sort of got their advantages. It definitely just felt like they were constantly finding lapses in the attacks and the defenses of Jihu. Take round 10, for example. They managed to either stumble or calculate sort of, what's the call? What's the word I'm trying to look for? Yeah, essentially a lapse in their defense, right? Nobody was holding a specific door, I'm pretty sure it was, and Make Your Destiny just walk right in and just lock Jihu out completely from the site, and then take them onto match point, and then from that match point position, they win the entire series. It's just these culminations of these different factors that just led to Jihu's demise. And man, like, I could very well give credit to Make Your Destiny, but Jihu did not show up at all. It's like there was a spark. There was a spark. 4 rounds exist because there was a spark, but it didn't last for very long.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you gave a term of lapse, and I just instantly remembered and blossom in my eyes to give an example of Formula One. I don't know how many people, by any chance, watch Formula One here, but like, you know, it was 2019 or 2018, not sure, that the computer that Mercedes-Benz used to calculate the perfect lap times for each lap for the qualifying predicted 136.1 for Singapore track, and then Lewis Hamilton beat it 136.0, something like that. That's the point. Teams find the flaws and make their ways into the game and into the round. This is exactly what MYD did. So it wasn't something very common for MID at the beginning to win. As I said, I had some doubts. It was like, but it's still, I gave it to Jihu Not to mention that this is my first time that I'm being wrong predicting a result of game. But then MYD showed that yeah, we have worked our asses off uh, through these times that we have not been on stage. We have watched VODs. We have improved our personalities and the individual gameplays. We know what kind of games Jihu is going to bring us, and don't forget that they are going to look down on us. They went through each round finding, and this is the most important part, MYD has been able to find the flaws mid round, not before the round, not after the round, but mid round. This is such an important analysis skill that maybe the analyst behind the team, maybe the coach, maybe the shot caller IGL of the teams has been able to implement into the players and himself. But they have been able to find those mistakes, take advantage of them, and go so hard at GQ.
I mean, that sort of adaptability was what won Penta the Invitational against EG, right? That sort of counter-strutting mentality just over and over again. And EG had no answer, and neither did Jihu here, ironically enough. But yeah, just so many factors, and I think what else we have here? Yeah, I did want to quickly mention just Loki again in the fragging department, just absolutely on top of his game right now. He was the MVP last map, and of course, just really contributing majorly to the fragging department here. So, big shout out to him. I think he's definitely, I definitely call him the MVP of the whole series. But I'm pretty sure we do have an interview coming up. I'm not quite sure with who though, so we'll have to see who it is. Sorry. Who we got?
Ready for interview?
Yeah.
Ah, hello,
Yeah.
Moheim. MYD. So, how you feeling about the win, man?
Feel grateful. I think we deserved it. We played a good siege, I believe, and we knew at the beginning of the game it was going to be a bit hard because they have some great players, but in the end,
Yeah.
I believe we proved ourselves and we proved everyone that we're the better team.
Yeah, fair enough. So, obviously, you came in to replace the team that was originally going to play. Was this sort of short notice, or did you manage to, head into this game with preparations, or was it sort of, okay, let's head in, see what we can do?
The game we played to know if we were going to continue the competition was a week ago, so we had time to look into the maps we wanted to play against them because we had a bit of VOD, and yeah, I guess we did a little bit of preparation, but to be honest, we don't scrim this much. So we
Mhm.
have like 1 or 2 day of scrimming and match a week.
Mhm.
So we felt a bit like we are going, like we have nothing to lose, and we're just going to play what is considered our siege, and then it was good.
Alright, fair enough. Yeah, sounds legit. Any preparations heading further into the tournament? Obviously, you're not quite sure who you're gonna go up against, but is there anything in particular you're looking to prepare? Anything you're looking to fix heading into the semifinals?
Well, we know we are going to play against BEE, I believe, in
Mhm.
semifinals. So we already play against them like 2 3 weeks ago, I believe. And we beat them, but it was a
Mhm.
best of one, and the semifinal is going to be a best of three. So I believe we arguably can win the semifinal, but we don't have to be too confident, and we're going to play like 100%. We want the final.
Alright,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, you're right. It was BE. Sorry, that was a bit of a lapse of memory for me. But Noctish, do you have any questions for the MYD
Yeah,
member?
actually, Momo, first, congratulations on your win. It was a well-deserved win, of course. You're welcome, buddy. So something that I wanted to mention about MYD's journey has not been completely consistent. Basically, more into the gameplay of the team. So during this time, as you said, you didn't have that much time to prepare. But what actually has been done between your players and your team that MWD actually blossomed today, in my opinion? Was it like there is no tomorrow, so let's just do whatever we want, or uh, there has been some mentalities work between players?
Well, you said it. We don't scream a lot, so of course it has an influence on the level of the team during match day. But the team plays together for like a long time. We have a good relation with one another, and we have a lot of automatisms inside the lobby. So even if we don't scream that much, when we get to play, we have like real default and worked things that we can put in place. And I believe the only games we lost were when one of the players couldn't make it to the game, so we had to play with the sixth. But when we are five MYD on the server, I believe like we are very strong, and once again we proved it today because it's a best of three. It's not like you flip cons, you toss a flip. No, you flip a coin. I'm sorry. In a best of one, best of three, arguably gives the win to the better team, which we are today. And I believe, yeah, we also know that this is important as we are an underage roster. We want to prove ourselves in the tournament that we can play because we cannot play Ubisoft's official tournament yet. So when we have game dates, a bit like we need to prove everyone wrong, and we did it today.
Wow,
That was
underage
a
roster.
very good one. Yeah, that was a
That
very good insight.
yeah, wasn't actually aware of that, but yeah, that if you're beating teams like that, I mean, that was a storied like uni roster that's been playing for like the better part of 3 years. At least MC and Shed have been. Pretty sure they met up in Yukin season 4, which feels like ages ago. So yeah, that is as a proper uni roster you beat right there. So yeah, definitely you have every right to celebrate up to
Yeah.
today. But last question: do you have anyone you want to give thanks to? Anyone you want to shout out? The stage is yours.
Of course, I want to thank everyone supporting us, which is our friends, our family, the ones in the chat or the ones in the back scene, sending us some messages before and after the games. It's really warm for us. Also, I want to thank like the organization of the Talent League because I know this is very hard to schedule to put in place, and you guys are doing your best, and it works out very well. So thank you for everyone behind this.
Oh, and we thank you for playing. And yeah, enjoy the win, man. You deserve it.
Thank you.
All right, and that basically concludes everything for the second play day of Titan Series playoffs. I've been Gorel, your host for today with a mustache, of course, and my analyst has been Noctish. Obviously, big shout out to production as well, and of course our lovely casters Golu and Infernosis. That has been us from today. Make your destiny take the win against the storied uni roster that is Jihu, and we will see you next time.